So hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this video, we'll be learning about accommodation in spectacle lenses versus contact lenses. The amount of accommodation required to see clearly a near object varies according to the type of correction mode, whether the customer is wearing spectacle lenses or contact lenses. However, the difference are relatively small numerically but can be significant clinically in earlier stage of presbyopia. In such cases, switching from one type to the another either precipitate a problem or postpone a problem. Here, I have taken a very simple example where patient is hyperopic and require plus 5 diopter of the correction. As we know, to view a object which is situated 33.33 centimeter far away, you require a plus 3 diopter of accommodation. And from where I got this plus 3 is from the simple formula which is power is equal to 1 by where f is the focal length but in meter. So 1 divided by 0.3333 will be equal to the 3 diopters. So this diagram is divided into two parts where this one is the top part and this one is the bottom part. Where the top part of the diagram is showing when the light is coming from the infinity. Basically, there is no divergence of light and it is passing straight. The down part is when a patient is viewing a near object. At that particular time, there is a divergence. Divergence of the rays depend upon the distance at the patient is viewing. So suppose patient is viewing 33.33 centimeter. So there will be a divergence of minus 3 diopter, which will be requiring of plus 3 diopter of accommodation. So let's solve the top part of the diagram. So here the light is coming from the infinity and is bent by the plus 5 diopter lens. Okay, and we're gonna calculate how much power is actually reaching at this particular point, which is the corneal plane. So which will be given by our vortex distance formula, which is equal to the FSP divided by 1D FSP, where FSP is your spectacle lens power and D is the vortex distance in meter. Right now we are considering the vortex distance is 14 mm. So the spectacle power is plus 4 and 1 minus. D is 14 millimeter. So it will be equal to the 0.014 in meters and multiple 5 again. So if we solve this, it is going to come plus 5.37. So this is the power which is calculated at this particular point. So let's solve now the down part of the diagram where the divergence of light is minus 3 diopter. So when it reaches at this particular point, it meets plus 5 here and the total which exit out will be equal to the so power after spectacle plane will be equal to the minus 3 plus 5, which will be equal to the plus 2. Again we're gonna calculate how much power is actually received at corneal plane. So the amount of power which is received at the corneal plane will be again given by the same formula. We're gonna use the vertex distance formula here, where which will be equal to FSP 1 minus D FSP to 1 minus 0.014 multiplied by 2. So which will be equal to the plus 2.058 diopter. Now we have two values. When the light is coming from the infinity, the corneal plane power is plus 5.378 diopters. And another one which we have is when the patient is viewing object which is 33.33 centimeter far away, the amount of power which is at the corneal plane will be equal to the 2.058. We can easily calculate accommodation in spectacle length, which will be given by when there is no accommodation, what is the corneal plane power, and we're gonna deduct it when there is accommodation, what is the corneal plane power, which we have already calculated. So when there is no accommodation, the corneal plane power is 5.376, and when there is accommodation, the corneal plane power is 2.058. Accommodation is the difference of these two, which will be equal to 3.32 diopter. So this diagram is showing when the customer is wearing contact lens or customer is emmetropic and does not wear any correction. how much amount of accommodation is required when object is 33.33 centimeter far away. And we also gonna include the vertex distance, which is the 14 mm, which we have taken in the earlier example also. We're gonna include that also. So accommodation, which is required when your object is 33.33 centimeter far away, and we're gonna add vertex distance to that. So here I'm writing it in millimeters because our vertex distance is in millimeter. So when we add it, it is going to come as 347.33. So your patient eyes will be 347.33 mm far away from the reading material. Accommodation which is required when object is situated 347.33 mm far away from the eyes, it will be given by the same formula which we have used earlier. F is equal to 1 divided by the small f, where the focal length will be in meters, and the final it will be giving us the accommodation which is required when the patient is using contact lens is equal to the 2.88 diopter. If you compare now, patient use contact lens, he use only 2.88 diopter of accommodation. Whereas when they use a plus power spectacle lens, the accommodation which is required is much more higher, which is plus 3.32 diopters. That's the reason when hyperopic, when you are switching him from the spectacle to the contact lens, they require less accommodation in the contact lens and more accommodation in the spectacle lenses. Let's take one more example where I is myopic of minus 5 diopter and the light is from the infinity. We're going to calculate what will be the corneal plane refraction when patient is viewing a target at infinity, which will be given by vertex distance formula, which is FSP 1 minus D FSP. Here minus 5 is our power, 1 minus 0.014 multiple of minus 5. So which will be equal to the minus 4.673 diopters. And what will be the corneal plane refraction when accommodation is active? So we know the divergence of light here is minus 3 and the power is minus 5. So the total is minus 8 at this particular point. So at this particular point, the total power is minus 8. So now we want to know what will be the corneal plane power when patient is viewing at near target, which is situated 33.33 centimeter far away from the patient eye. For that, we will be using again the same formula FSP 1 minus DFSP, which will be equal to minus 8 1 minus 0.014 multiplied by minus 8, and the total will be equal to minus 7.194 diopters. So accommodation in the spectacle lens will be the difference between the when accommodation is active and when the accommodation is not active. So we are going to just consider the difference, not the sign. So when the accommodation is active, it is 7.194 diopter minus 4.673 when accommodation is not active, which is equal to the 2.52 diopters in the spectacle lenses. And when accommodation is and when we talk about accommodation in the contact lens, which we have calculated previously, which was equal to 2.88 diopters. In case of myopia, when you are switching a patient from spectacle to the contact lens, they have to exert more accommodation, and they have to exert more accommodation in the contact lens and less accommodation in the spectacle lens. That's the reason a hyperopic patient exert less accommodation when they are using a contact lens, and a myopic patient exert more accommodation when they are using a contact lenses. Yes, these differences are very small, very minute, but if your patient is very early presbyope and he is also myopic and you are switching him now from the spectacle to the contact lenses, this change may precipitate the need of a near vision correction. And again, if your patient is hyperopic and you are again switching him spectacle to the contact lenses, now this change may postpone your need for the near correction. So thank you everyone. I hope you like this video. If you like this video, please do like and subscribe.